Wind cut through the quiet streets of Fernley, rattling wreath-tied lampposts and pushing flurries of powdered snow against the gleaming windows of Maple and Wick's toy emporium. Inside, the air smelled of cinnamon sachets and newly unboxed cedar blocks, but the usual jingling cheer was missing. Clara Finch, the lanky seasonal clerk with a perpetual smudge of glitter on her cheek, paced behind the brass register, while Mr. Dawson, the owner, scribbled frantic notes on a clipboard. "It should have been here 3 days ago," he muttered, shoving a shock of grey hair behind his ear. The premium holiday shipment, 40 crates, limited edition snow globes, plush reindeer, half the ornaments this town expects from us every year. Clara tried to brighten her voice. Maybe the trucking company's just delayed. Highway closures, early storm. "They signed for delivery," he snapped, then immediately softened. "I'm sorry, Clara. You're right. This store lives or dies by those crates. No ornaments, no parade float sponsorship, no midnight window reveal. Customers go to mall chains instead." Clara reached for a candy-striped pencil. Logistics fascinated her. She could follow a shipping manifest the way other 20-somethings followed detective podcasts. "Let me track it," she said. "If the driver signed, there's an electronic trail. Maybe the crates are sitting in a depot." Mr. Dawson hesitated. She had only been hired 2 weeks, but he'd already seen her reorganize the chaotic stockroom into color-coded marvel. "All right," he said. "See what you can find, and check the loading bay. Maybe someone delivered overnight." Clara zipped her red cardigan and ducked through the employee's only door, descending the creaky wooden stairs that led to the basement dock. Halfway down, the air grew oddly still. The constant hum of the ancient boiler was gone. Her footsteps echoed. She flicked on the overhead lamp. What she saw made her pulse leap. The 40 pallets normally stacked against the far wall had vanished. In their place, square in the middle of the concrete floor, stood a nutcracker soldier. But not the sort that perched on fireplace mantels. This one stood 6 feet tall, shoulders squared, cedar uniform painted midnight blue, gilded epaulets glimmering in the dusty light. Its carved eyes, lacquered green, seemed uncannily aware, and its wooden jaw, half open, revealed polished metal teeth. Between the soldier's boots lay a candy cane striped envelope, sealed with crimson wax. The wax bore an imprint of crossed hammers and a sprig of holly. Clara swallowed. Hello?" The nutcracker did not move, but a faint mechanical whir vibrated through the air, as though something inside its hollow chest had only just wound down. She edged forward, heart hammering, and snatched the envelope. The moment her fingers broke the wax, the overhead lamp shut off. Darkness fell, punctuated by the same mesh of ticking gears echoing from the figure. Clara's breath clouded before her. The basement felt suddenly 10 degrees colder. Through the dark, she pictured the soldier stepping forward, jaw clacking, arms seizing her. But the lights buzzed back on. The nutcracker stood still as ever, its painted smile maddeningly serene. Clara unfolded the stationery inside. "Dear proprietor of Maple and Wick's, the treasures you swore to guard with festive cheer are no longer yours. Value, like wonder, is earned, never bought. Return what was taken from us. Only then will your beloved holiday shipment be returned intact. Meet my emissary when the church bells usher in the 9th hour. Signed H.P.S. Harm the sentinel, and the crates become fireplace fuel." Clara read it twice. H. 9 o'clock. Tonight was December 3rd, the night the town square would test the new bell tower's refurbished carillon at 9 sharp. She looked at the nutcracker and spotted small rubber wheels beneath its boots, like a hidden RC car chassis. Someone had engineered this. Someone with tools, time, and a passion for melodrama. Back upstairs, Mr. Dawson listened with eyes widening behind bifocals. A life-sized nutcracker. Wheels. He rubbed his temples. Who's H? Clara listed suspects. A rival toy shop. Fernley only had Maple and Wicks. An ex-employee? 3 years ago, Dawson had laid off half the woodworking staff when plastics outsold traditional carvings. One of them was Henrietta Lark. H. Lark had been legendary for her intricate wind-ups and her stubborn refusal to simplify designs the way corporate buyers demanded. Henrietta lives out near Briar Mill, Dawson said, but she's retired. She wouldn't build a robotic nutcracker, Clara finished. That sounds exactly like her. Mr. Dawson's shoulders sagged. If it is Henrietta, what's she mean by return what was taken? Clara thought of newspaper clippings she'd seen in the back office. The Lark line, a series of handcrafted wooden animals, had been shelved when Maple and Wick's new investors pivoted to cheaper plastic toys. Those moulds had been sold off, the prototypes boxed and warehoused. To Henrietta, that might have felt like theft. "I'm going to meet this emissary," Clara said. "You're a part-time cashier." "I'm also the only one who's seen the note," she pointed out. "And I like puzzles." She straightened. "If I can get those crates back before news leaks, Christmas season is saved." Mr. Dawson looked as though he wanted to argue, but decades of owning a toy store had taught him to trust curiosity. He nodded. "Take the company van. And Clara, be careful." Snow spiraled under the glow of streetlights as Clara parked near the town square at 9:05. She'd texted her best friend Milo, an off-duty bike courier who thrived on weird quests, and he now bounced on his heels beside her, blowing into gloved hands. "Robot Nutcracker ransom," he said, eyes shining. "This is peak Fernley energy. Let's go." The rebuilt bell tower loomed above, brass doors shut until the inaugural ringing. Empty vendor stalls stood like silent sentinels around the plaza. Then to Clara's right, a figure rolled from behind a granite bench, the same life-sized nutcracker, wheels grinding softly through the snow. It stopped 10 feet away, raising its wooden arm. Strapped to its palm was a second envelope. Milo murmured, "Creepy cute." Clara plucked the envelope. Inside, a single sheet, "Follow the sugar trail." As she read, the nutcracker's torso rotated with a gentle click, pointing its outstretched arm down Elm Street. Then its chest cavity opened, and a cascade of peppermint candies poured into the snow, forming a red and white path glinting under the street lamps. Milo whooped. "A treasure trail!" Clara felt a nervous thrill. Whoever orchestrated this had showmanship, and maybe a camera somewhere. "Let's move." They followed the peppermints past shuttered businesses to the railway museum at the town's edge. The building had closed for renovations months earlier. The main gate, chain-locked, bore a fresh sprig of holly and a tiny brass key tied with twine. "Convenient," Milo said, pocketing the key. They slipped inside. The museum's central hall smelled of oil and pine. Moonlight filtered through skylights onto dormant locomotives. On a raised platform sat a 19th-century toy workshop exhibit, complete with miniature tools and half-finished wooden dolls. Clara's breath caught. Perched among them stood the nutcracker. "How did it beat us?" Milo whispered. "Wireless control," Clara guessed, "or pre-programmed route." A third envelope lay on the work table, beside a small wooden horse, a Lark-line prototype Clara recognized from catalogue photos. She unfolded the note. Wonder is the price. Return the horse by dawn. Give it the tracks it deserves. Clara turned the horse in her hand. Intricate gears connected its legs to a wind-up key, though the paint had faded. A tag on its belly read, "Property of Maple and Wick's Archive." If she just wants her prototype back, why steal the shipment? Milo asked. Leverage, Clara murmured. This horse probably means everything to Henrietta. It's art, not stock. She envisioned Henrietta's heartbreak watching her creations boxed away. Another clang echoed. The Nutcracker's arm snapped up, pointing to an old switching yard visible through the cracked rear doors. Before Clara could react, the doors burst wide, and the Nutcracker rolled outside, vanishing into the darkness. Clara tucked the horse into her backpack. We need to bring it to her. She checked her phone. 1:07 a.m. Milo frowned. She lives miles out. We'll need a car. Clara shook her head. Those crates could be anywhere. I think she's hidden them in town. Give it the tracks it deserves. This switching yard. They stepped onto the weed-choked lines. Frost glistened under a waning moon. Ahead, a maintenance shed glowed with lantern light. Against its door, 2 Nutcrackers flanked a heavy padlock. Milo nudged Clara. She's escalating. Clara exhaled, stepped toward the wooden guards. Neither moved. She produced the brass key used at the gate. It didn't fit. The padlock, however, had tiny gears etched along its bow. She turned the horse over, examining its wind-up key. Similar gears. Hold this, she told Milo, passing him the lock. Aligning the horse's key with the lock's gear teeth, she twisted. The padlock clicked open. Inside the shed, 40 crates stood stacked ceiling high, each stamped with Maple and Wick's logo. Relief flooded her. Nestled atop the nearest crate sat yet another envelope. Clara split it open. Wonder delivered is wonder deserved. One more test. Trust the sentinel. Shut your eyes. Let the bells guide you. Milo read over her shoulder. Shut our eyes? No thanks. But Clara understood. Henrietta wanted proof of faith, the same faith children have when they believe in magic toys. We do this her way, she said. They wheeled open the double doors at the back of the shed. There waited a small flatbed rail cart and, naturally, the Nutcracker sentinel. Its wooden hand gestured to the cart. Track ride, Milo said, climbing on. Hope your insurance is paid. Clara joined him, sitting cross-legged. She closed her eyes. Somewhere, a silent countdown began ticking in her mind. The Nutcracker's gears whirred. The cart jolted forward. Eyes shut, Clara felt the wind nip her cheeks as the cart coasted along the rusty rails. She pictured them gliding through the sleeping town, unseen. Over the rumble she heard, faint but growing, the new carillon's bells striking quarter hours during late-night tuning. Ding-dong, ding-dong. Each chime reverberated through iron and bone. The cart slowed, squealed, and stopped. Milo exhaled. Can we look? She waited for the 9th bell, then opened her eyes. They had arrived in Maple and Wick's own rear alley. The store's loading dock door was rolled up, lights glowing warmly inside. The Nutcracker stood at the threshold, as if presenting them. In the alley, Snow lay a woman of imposing dignity, Henrietta Lark herself, bundled in a forest green cloak, steel hair tumbling from beneath a knit beret. Her copper eyes appraised them like a master inspecting raw lumber. You passed the test, she said. You trusted the sentinel. Clara stepped off the cart. Ms. Lark, I'm Clara, clerk at Maple and Wick's. You scared everyone. Fear and wonder live in the same house. Henrietta's breath puffed white. But I did not intend malice. I sought to remind Dawson and his investors what toys once meant. Not plastic landfill, but dreams shaped in wood. They buried my work. Worse, they buried the children's sense of marvel. She touched the nutcracker's painted cheek. So I sent my soldiers. You took the entire shipment, Milo said. That's a felony with extra sprinkles. Henrietta's expression softened. All merchandise remains unharmed. I merely borrowed it, a demonstration of what craft can still accomplish. Clara unshouldered her backpack, retrieving the wooden horse. We brought this. The older woman's hands shook as she accepted the toy. She wound the key. The horse's legs pranced in a delicate trot across her gloved palm. Moonlight reflected the glassy tears in her eyes. I poured months into that trot. She looked up. Thank you. Clara glanced at the nutcracker. You built full-scale automatons overnight? Henrietta barked a laugh. Over 2 years. Each sentinel houses a gyroscope, differential gear drive, microcontrollers. Old world outside, new world inside. She regarded Clara curiously. You recognized my style. Why? Because it still matters, Clara said. People crave authenticity. They queue for our antique-inspired window display every year. They'll treasure your creations. Henrietta sighed. Investors disagree. Then let them see proof. Clara swept an arm toward the open dock. Put the sentinels in the window tomorrow. Demonstrate they can coexist with the plastic toys. Celebrate both sides of the spectrum. Henrietta stroked the horse, considering. Dawson may not forgive me. I think he will if you return the crates before sunrise. Clara smiled. And if you let me film the nutcrackers for the store's social media feed. Viral marketing is cheaper than ransom. At that, Milo clasped his hands. A retargeted ad campaign featuring steampunk nutcrackers. The likes will melt snow. Henrietta arched a brow, but the rigid lines of her face softened. Perhaps I misjudged the next generation. A fresh gust sent curls of snow swirling around them. The nutcracker sentinel rolled forward, jaw clacking lightly, as if to punctuate the agreement. Clara tilted her head. One more thing, Miss Lark. The note said, return what was taken from us. Who's us? The toymaker looked towards the dark rooftops, eyes distant. Us is every craftsman whose quiet devotion became collateral damage to efficiency. But maybe tonight, us also includes you two. Anyone protecting wonder. They shook hands, Henrietta's grip calloused yet warm. With dawn still a couple of hours away, they set to work. The nutcrackers obeyed handheld remotes Henrietta produced from her satchel. Under her guidance, the wooden soldiers rolled back to the switching yard, where Milo and Clara helped load the 40 crates onto a borrowed delivery truck. Henrietta drove the truck to the store, while Milo cycled ahead, clearing streets of stray holiday banners, and Clara phoned Mr. Dawson. He arrived in pajamas and overcoat, face pallid, but when he found Henrietta gently stacking crates on the sales floor, the colour returned to his cheeks. Henri, he said. Then softer. You always knew how to make an entrance. You forgot how, she replied, tapping a crate. Thought I'd remind you. They stood amid towers of boxes and laughing nutcrackers, 2 veterans of retail wars, decades of grudges folded into a single nod. Finally, Dawson turned to Clara. You orchestrated this? She just followed the breadcrumbs, Milo chimed. Clara lifted a peppermint. Literal ones. The store's grandfather clock struck 4. Dawn tinted the horizon lavender. They arranged the nutcrackers in the front window, spotlighting their midnight blue uniforms. Henrietta synced them. On the hour, They would raise wooden trumpets and tilt their heads in perfect unison. Milo streamed footage to the store's social media. Comments poured in before the sun broke. "Are those real? Take my money. Need one under my tree." Mr. Dawson watched the feed, eyes watery. "Maybe there's room for new classics," he said. Henrietta smiled at Clara. "I could train apprentices, ones with quick eyes for gears." Clara's cheeks coloured. "I'd love that." The first rays of sun filtered through icicle-rimmed windows, catching motes of sawdust in golden suspension. Outside, early dog walkers paused, transfixed by the towering nutcrackers saluting them. Inside Maple and Wicks, the crates were back, the ornaments safe, but something richer had also returned, a pulse of possibility, humming in clockwork hearts of life-sized soldiers and the living hearts of those who believed in them. And somewhere between peppermint trails and polished cedar smiles, Fernley's upcoming Christmas found its missing wonder.